Hi, Stitchers. Welcome to Tatreez Talk, where we share conversations about Palestinian embroidery. I'm Amani here with my co-host Lena, chatting with talented embroiderers and artists, sharing their stories, inspirations, and the cultural significance behind their work.
On today's episode, we are chatting with Tala, a children's book author and the executive director of Good Rain Publishing, which is an independent Palestinian-owned children's publisher. Welcome to Tatreez Talk, Tala.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yay, we are excited to have you. So, Tala, can you start us off by sharing with our listeners about you and your family's connection to Palestine?
I'm Palestinian. My dad's side of the family, my name Tala Fahmawi. We're originally from a little village called Fahim. That's where our name comes from. But after some like flooding happened in Fahim, like historically, the family moved to Tulkarim. So my dad's side of the family says they're from Tulkarim, and a lot of them are in Tulkarim. My mom's side of the family is like really, really close by. So that general area.
Did you get a chance to go and visit Palestine growing up?
I visited Palestine twice in my life. For context, I was born in Jordan. My family immigrated to Canada and then immigrated to the US. So I've generally grown up in the West. Um, and I only spent probably collectively like 60 days in Palestine in my whole life. But they were pretty impactful. Reflecting sometimes, I can be a little bit in my head about it because I was so young and I kept thinking like, I wish I did this, I wish I did this, I wish I did so many things for that short amount of time that I was able to be actually in Palestine. But I'm grateful for those 60 days.
Yeah, how old were you when you went?
The first time I went, I was 16, and the
Okay.
second time I went, I was 21.
Okay, so you remember those visits.
I do. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have not made it there yet. So I'm like, it's a big to do on my list. It's like the top of my list. And so I can only imagine, you know, being able to go as, like even 16, like you're starting to become like a little adult, if you will. And being able to go and then having that gap. Have you tried to go back at any point?
I think it'd be really difficult. When I went, I didn't have as public of a Palestinian profile as I do now, and
Yeah.
I think I'd have a really hard time getting it, especially with my books and some things that I do. And this is horrible because there are people who like live in Palestine and have to experience this every day. But I think like my heart would shatter to see all the checkpoints and all of the horrible things our people have to go through. But one day, inshallah, we're gonna be there when it's free. Yeah.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. So maybe this is a good time to discuss your Tatreez journey. So when did that start for you? How did you learn? What does it mean for you to do Tatreez?
Yeah, so my mom actually didn't teach me Tatreez. She embroidered a lot before like she had kids. My dad told me that they had this like giant like 70,000 stitch like portrait that she did, but it wasn't Tatreez, it was like one of the DMC ones. And when I got pregnant with my first daughter, I don't know, it was really random. I was like, you know what, let's try this. And I signed up for an online class with the Wafa name and I learned a little bit through that. And ever since then, I've kind of been self-taught. And it's just something that I've really, really grown to love and something that's really meaningfully connected me to my identity. I'm working on my daughter's first thobe, which is really, really exciting that she gets to wear something that I did by hand for her. And just doing
Yeah.
the art has, like, I feel like when I sit and I do tattoos, all that is on my mind is like the women historically have sat down and done the same thing. And I was telling Lena this the other day, but it empowers me because it gives me a sense that no matter what happens to our land, no matter what happens, like we will still have won. Because the people who violently expelled us, who tried to steal our culture, to erase us, would not have in their wildest dreams imagined that the daughters and the granddaughters and the great granddaughters would be sitting and doing the same indigenous practice of the people that they violently expelled. Like they didn't think that we would maintain our culture and maintain our traditions.
Mhm.
So that gives me some hope and makes me feel like really grateful. And it's also provided me with such incredible spaces to connect with other people in the community. I love
Mhm.
talking to other Palestinians about Tatreez. And my mom was
Yes.
saying this the other day, and I think it's so true. She was like, well, her generation, they didn't really care, but like they're seeing so many young people really get into it,
Yep.
which is so incredibly beautiful to see.
Yeah, no, I totally hear that. I love, love, love everything you're saying. So, how has your relationship with your Palestinian identity shifted as you've gotten deeper into this Tatriz practice?
Um, okay. I'm like a little bit nerdy. I
We
read
love
a
that.
lot. I read a lot, and I
We
feel
love.
like a lot of my reflections and a lot of my thinking kind of like goes back to theory, and a lot of like the literature and even like academic texts that I consume. So I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with Orientalism by Edward Said. If people listening are not familiar, Edward Said was a like really, really well-known scholar, and in the 70s he coined the term Orientalism, which largely refers to how the West has made itself experts on the Orient or the West or people like us through a lens of colonialism and through a lens of subjugation and through a lens that ultimately has the goal to justify our subjugation, right? That talks down to us, that looks at us like we're barbarians, that really misconstrues our culture. And I like feel that in any piece of art or work I do, I want to work against those narratives, right? And a lot of the post-colonial art projects and the post-colonial writing has come out, has situated a largely diaspora, which is people that live in the Occident or the West, as spokespeople for the Orient. And there's this really incredible scholar named Lisa Luau, and I hope I'm saying her name correct. But in 2007, she coined this term called re-Orientalism, which I found really interesting, and I've been really digging deep into because it's something that I've like reflected on separately, which is how a lot of times because us as diaspora are so disconnected from our identity, when we act as representatives, sometimes we can be doing the work of Orientalism without even knowing it, which is super like heartbreaking. And it's sad because it's not our fault all the times. Like they're the ones who stripped us of our culture and made it so much less profound and made us so much less connected to it than we actually are. So when I do Tatreez and when I think about Tatreez, I try to operate from a framework that works against things like that. So I do try my best to do diligence to say, like, what does this pattern mean? What does it represent? What area is it from? And not so much as the DIY, just copying what I found. It looks pretty, things like that. And even on the thobe that I'm working on for my daughter, I was like telling her that this is going to be your thobe, Mariuma. I'm doing flowers on it. And she came up to me and she was like, Mama, بدي قلب حب. And if you don't speak Arabic, that means like a heart. She wants a heart on the thobe. And I was like, you know what? I haven't really seen hearts on traditional thobes. And I was like, do I want to put a heart on this? And then I thought about it and I said, well, if we go down to the root of Tatreez, what it is, these women embroidered what they wanted, what represented them, what they had in their environment. And I felt that it would be inauthentic of me to try to copy the old thobes from Tul Karim that my grandma used to stitch, just to do that. Right? So I decided, no, Mariam, I'm gonna put qalb hub on your thobe. I'm gonna put a heart on your thobe because that's what you want. And Tatreez is about putting what we want on our clothing, stitch by stitch. So that's kind of like the framework that I try to operate with, and I try to be as reflective as possible in those processes. But yeah, that was a long-winded answer, but
No, that's a beautiful answer. And I think Amani and I don't know if you noticed, but we're like both just like nodding vigorously.
Yes. We're like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like,
Yes, sis. Tell
like
us more.
every word resonates, every word resonates. And I think like back to your point about reorientalism, which I think is actually really fascinating and something that I've been thinking about, especially in the last year and a half or so. I feel like especially if you grow up in the West and you lose act like complete access to the Middle East, like I feel like because I moved back and forth, there was a little bit of break in that. But if you don't have those opportunities to go back and to, see what's happening and talk to the people who are living in the Middle East and in your home village or your home country, you get brainwashed because you are You are even if in your house your parents are speaking to you in Arabi and you maintain as much culture within the private home, you're still engaging with the West and how, I mean, just look at the news cycle over the last year and a half with this genocide. It's like that's what people are listening to, that's what people are hearing, and so you're automatically like taking it in, even if you don't believe it. It kind of it gets
Your
there, and it
subconscious.
yeah, and it's 100% true, which makes it so much more important and critical that we center our people's voices. We work with our people. We like prioritize all of those different things. So thank you so much for sharing it in such an eloquent way.
Also, I do have to add there are some heart motifs. I gotta send you some.
Yeah.
There's a really pretty one from Ramle. I'll send it to you.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
amazing. I would love to see it.
Yeah, totally. Oh, yeah, this was such a great answer to the question. And can we talk a little bit about your daughter's thobe? Just,
Yes,
Yeah, for sure.
please.
I want to hear all the details. When did you decide? How are you approaching the design? You mentioned a little bit about the meanings behind some of the motifs, but tell us more, the colors and all of the things that you're embedding in that thobe.
So I really wanted this though to be something that she remembers. So I've tried to include her as much as I can in the process. And my daughter Maryam, she's 4 and she has a lot of opinions.
We love
Um,
it.
But when I wear a thobe, right, and I like do my hair and my makeup and I go out and she's like, Mama, you look like a princess. She like loves it. And I was like, Mama, guess what? I'm gonna make you one. Are you excited? And she said she's so excited. Um, and I thrifted some like fabric, like some black fabric, and I kind of like did it. I'm doing it piece by piece, but I decided to do like 2 big side panels and then a chest piece, and I'm gonna embroider some of the arms and then hopefully put it together. I'm gonna let her go to the fabric store and pick the fabric that goes in between, but she wants like purple and pink. A lot of the motifs that I picked are from Khalil. We're not from Al Khalil, but a lot of the ones that she liked, a lot of the flowers and things like that are from Al Khalil. So it was really fun to tell her mom, this is Al Khalil, this is what this means. And I also got like strass, like the crystals, to sew
Hmm.
on it because she wants it to be sparkly.
Oh, I love her. I'm obsessed with her and her thobe. Cannot wait to see this.
But, but
Wait,
she
is
just go
oh,
ahead.
well, I was just going to ask, is she involved in the actual stitching? Are you getting her? I
She
know she's
likes to like
4.
pull the needle.
Yeah,
She came
yeah.
up to me. She
Habibi.
said, Mom, can I pull? And I said, sure, you can pull. And she's like, pulled the waist canvas from the first piece that I did.
Oh,
And she's
yeah.
picked some of the colors. So she's really, really excited. And I'm like really proud of her because I just think she's gonna remember this. Like sometimes I'm like, is this
Yes.
free? Because not a lot of people hand stitch children's thobes because how long
Yeah.
are they gonna wear them? Like
Yep.
that's largely unheard of. Like when I told my mom, she was like, why don't you just make it big for when she's big? And I said, no, she's gonna wear it. And then her little
Hmm.
sister's gonna wear it, and then we're gonna keep it. So it's gonna be fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying my best to make it not something that I just do when I need time to relax and reflect, but something that she sees me doing and she remembers, like, no, my mom كانت تطرز. و-
Mm.
And now she says that she goes, Mama, when تطريزك? When تطريزك? I said تطريزي هون. And then she'll come up to me and she'll be like, careful with the needle, careful with the needle. It's been nice. Yeah.
That is so cute. I'm obsessed. That is the most adorable thing. And I love that you are making her a part of the process because, like, even when she outgrows that thobe, she's not going to outgrow those memories. And that's so, so important. And I think you were talking yourself about, and obviously as an author, it makes sense, that storytelling is so important for you. And it's such a big part of Tatreez and has become a big, like a universal language. I feel like we've talked to a few people recently who've used that term too. So, what is the story that you want your daughter to take away from after she outgrows this thobe, as she gets older? Like, what's the story you want her to take away from that thobe?
So I feel like again, I'm in my mind, I'm always like big picture reflections. And sometimes I think I'm like crazy. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, Tara, you need to chill. Not everything is this deep. But a lot of times I'm like, it is this deep. And I want her to remember how long this took. I want her to remember how
Mm,
long I worked on it. And I want her to know that just because this one piece of clothing took me over a year to make for her, that it was worth it,
mm,
right? I'm really trying to use this thobe making process with her, not only as a way to make her proud of her Palestinian identity, but to really sow the seeds of like anti-capitalist ideas
Mm.
and things that like sometimes efficiency isn't always the goal, right? Sometimes we do art for the sake of art, and that should be celebrated. And I'm pushed more and more to really be serious about having those conversations with her and really talk about the people behind the clothing that we wear and the people behind the works of art that we see, especially with the advent of things like AI. Um, so that's kind of like where I'm always orienting myself with her and with this work. She's really little, like she can say Palestine, but I don't think she fully has a conception of like where we are from because she's never been to Palestine.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping that when she grows up and when she reflects, a lot of the lessons that are not connecting for her right now will connect for her in the future.
Yeah, and I think just by you practicing in front of her, that by itself, I think is really powerful because the process of making tatreez, especially for a thobe, even if it is for a small little person,
Yep.
it takes a long time. And so it's
Yep.
just like she's just going to be seeing you do this. And I mean, I've told this story before on the podcast, but for me, like one of the big aha moments was when I like did my first big piece, and I was at home in between graduating and a new job, and I had a month, and I was just all day Tatreezing this same piece. And it was a pillow that we have in our living room. And because I was home all day, my father would like come and go and like always see me working on this piece. And so he would come, wake up, see me working, go grab coffee, see me working, go to the gym, see me working, do work, whatever, see me working. And like 3 weeks in, he's like, "Are you still seriously working on the same piece?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it takes a lot of time." And he's like, "Yeah, but I didn't pay enough for the original pillow that you're kind of using as your inspiration." And I'm just like, "Well, now you know.
Yep.
You need to pay more or do it yourself and really learn." Yeah, so I think just by you doing it in front of her is really powerful, and it's going to be something that she remembers, and also a piece that she'll cherish and hopefully pass down to her children. Um, I love that. Maybe we can segue now to your work with Good Rain Publishing. Tell us more about that. What was like the conception of this publishing house? What are your goals with that? Because I feel like what you're doing with your daughter through this thobe is actually similar in kind of your
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah, it's 100% similar. Like all my things are inspired by my kids. Just to give a little bit more information, I have three. I have a 4-year-old, I have a 2-year-old, and I have my daughter's going to turn one next month. Um, and everything I do is for them, and everything I do is for kids who are like them. Like I said, like I've always been a big reader and I love to read and I love to write, like in general. But when I had kids, I really honed in on children's literature. Um, and I went to Jordan and I lived in Qatar for a little bit and I was looking at the Arabic children's literature because my kids speak Arabic and we try to do only Arabic at home. And I wasn't like, I'm not to say that there aren't good books. There are beautiful, wonderful books, but I didn't find something that I found super inspiring to me. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna make some for my kids. So initially, Good Rain Publishing, my goal was to create really high quality Arabic children's book content. But then as I was reading the English content too, I noticed there was a gap with like meaningful representation for us by us as Palestinians, as Arabs, as Muslims. And I said, you know what? Like, let's do everything. So we have baby books that are bilingual. We have baby books in English, we have baby books in Arabic, and we also have storybooks in English and Arabic too. And I think a lot of the messaging in our books is the same thing that I was talking about with my daughter's Thobe, that I try to put as many community values and community morals in these books,
Mhm.
and do it in a way that kind of respects the intelligence of the child, where it isn't didactic. That was my big problem with a lot of the Arabic children's literature that I saw existed, where it was all like teaching a lesson, like this is the book, you take away this lesson. And I wanted to give kids the opportunity to come to their own conclusions, to have their own ideas and own thoughts. Um, so that's like the literature, the children's literature that we're making. A lot of people ask me why I didn't traditionally publish, and traditional publishing is like a fantastic route to reach as many people as possible. But because I wanted to stay as authentic as possible to my mission, I wanted to have full control. The
Mhm.
only way to do that is to kind of do it yourself. And I
Mhm.
also wanted every part of my company to speak my values. So when I first started off, and even today, I would say like 90% of the people that we hire are Palestinians in Palestine or Palestinians in the diaspora. And if they're not
Mhm.
Palestinian, they're other Arabs, because it's so important for us to narrate our own stories. And it's not only in the illustration, it's also in the editing, it's also in the
Mhm.
translation, it's also in the Arabic, like tadqiq, like checking the Arabic is
Mhm.
correct. And I just want us to have a platform where we can come together and like create these beautiful things for our children. Because at the end of the day, like I said, there are merits to traditional publishing, but these big houses, they have Zionist money, they have Zionist
Yeah.
connections. And
Yeah.
even if my story is reaching all of the schools and all of the children and all of the bookstores, a part of my culture is still being used to by Zionists to profit. And I'm, I'm, if I am able to not do that, like why not?
Yeah.
And like I said, like there's so many beautifully traditional, beautifully illustrated, beautifully done books, but that are big five publishing house, and those are my friends. I love those people. I don't want to say anything bad about anyone
Yeah.
who's chosen that route. But for me, because I am on a mission to create so many books and not just one or two, um, I thought it would be the best thing to open up my own independent press. So that's kind of like a little bit about it. And the other thing is not only did I want high quality Arabic books for my kids, but Arabic books in general, those are really hard to get your hands
Yeah.
on in the US.
Yeah, they
Um,
are.
and I feel like anytime that I have a conversation with American Arabs, the one thing that I always hear them say is like, I wish I spoke Arabic. I wish my
Hmm.
parents invested that time to give me that skill. It is such an underestimated, important connection to our culture to be able to talk to your relatives, to be able to consume even like the silly memes that are on TikTok or the silly videos that are
Hmm.
in Arabic. Like being able to consume those and connect with those authentically is so important.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of why I started Good Rain Publishing.
That's amazing. I'm very in awe of everything you're doing. That's like, honestly, I mean, we're not supposed to curse on here, but it's very, wow. Um,
I appreciate
so
that.
yeah, no, and how has like this journey of like starting this completely like from scratch business and then at the same time like you're also an author, so you're writing these books. How has that journey, like how have those challenges come up for you? Like, and how have you been dealing with all that?
Oh my God, the challenge is always money. We never have enough money to do anything, as you
Real.
know. I think anybody who started a business is like that's a challenge. Like it's a lot of investment from the beginning to
Hmm.
get off of the ground. And people think because you have a business you make money, and it's just not true. Like anybody who owns a small business knows, like especially us in these like niche communities and who are making things for our community, like this isn't necessarily profitable.
Yeah.
And I think
Real.
that like I've been really grateful to the people who've come bought my books and things like that because they're coming because they're like, you're a Palestinian publisher, we want to support you, which has been
Yeah.
like, so fantastic. And at the end of the day, like this is by us for us for a reason, right?
Hmm.
Um, and even though my company doesn't have as big of a reach as I wish it did, like I wish, if you don't know anything about like book publishing, but they're kind of a big monopoly on distribution. So if you're not with like a huge distributor, it's really hard to get your book into libraries, into schools, and things like that. And we are working to get into those distribution spaces. It's just so difficult.
Yeah.
So for now, people get our books directly through our business, like either on our website or other selling platforms that we have. And it's just been so heartwarming to see the orders come in and to see emails and messages from people saying, "Oh, my son loves your book. He started to say this. My daughter, this is her favorite read. She wants to read it every night." That's kind of like the reason though that we do everything.
Yeah, of course. That's so beautiful. Okay, so if there was the ideal person for your business that you want to get in touch with listening to this episode, I don't know what the chances are, but you never
You never
know.
know.
You never know. Like who would what or who would make a huge difference for your business right now?
Anybody that can help me with marketing and distribution.
Oh,
Okay, Mark.
heavily.
Anyone that can help me market, anyone that can help get the word out. Because I always say that like we don't have, not a lot of people know about us. Like we're small,
Yeah.
we're new. I'm a mom of three, and this is what I do. So I'm writing emails and doing Instagram posts between diaper changes at school drop off. So it's I wear all the hats.
Yeah.
Anybody that can help spread the word and anybody who knows anything about the publishing industry and can help with distribution like that, I would appreciate that so much. But even just sharing our books or sharing our page does so much for us. Um,
Man,
our our illustrators get so excited when their books are like widely shared. A lot of them are in Gaza. A lot
Yeah.
of them are like they send me messages and they're like, "Oh, I saw your book on this and it made me so excited and I showed my friend." Like it's really special.
no, that's so beautiful. Amani, yalla, marketing plan,
I know.
strategy.
I was
Let's
gonna say
go.
we're gonna talk, girl, because I my background is in brand marketing, so we're
Oh
gonna
my
talk.
God.
Yeah, we're gonna talk a lot. Okay. I am curious, how has your Tatreez journey impacted any future projects you might be doing under your publishing or as an author?
Well, we have something really exciting that we're working on. I don't want to talk too much about it because it's in the
All
works.
good, all good. Sneak peek,
But
sneak peek, get the people excited, tease.
yes, but stay tuned. Follow us because we are coming out with a beautiful children's book that may or may not be about Tatreez and
Oh,
that
okay.
may or may not include a children's Tatreez kid with it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Noted, noted,
Interesting.
noted.
So this is Tatreez exclusive, Tatreez Talks
Boom.
exclusive.
I love it. Okay, definitely. That's very exciting. We will keep listening, keep our eyes out because I want to hear more and see about that. And I'm sure a lot of people will want to know more about it.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so a little bit related but not related. Let's say someone comes up to you, a parent or an educator, and they're looking for advice on how to incorporate Palestine meaningfully, but aren't really sure where to start. What would you recommend, both from like a book publishing perspective, but also Tatreez?
Yeah, I think because like given what's been happening for the past 2 years, um, it is so I hate saying this. I hate saying this because we are people. We shouldn't have to be humanized. Like I hate saying humanized Palestinians. Like I hate saying that so much. But for people who are not Palestinian, for people who do not know a Palestinian or haven't interacted with their culture outside of the headlines that you see on CNN or whatever, and all this is for a lot of parents too. I want you to talk about Palestine, talk about Palestinians with your children like they are people who have traditional clothing, who have traditional dishes, who celebrate in certain ways. Like, first and foremost, before we are colonized, before we are oppressed, we are a people with a beautiful culture and a beautiful history. And like letting your children know about that and expose them to that initially is really important because when you hear the headlines that make us faceless and nameless, your kid's gonna be like, well, actually, I know those people. My neighbor did this, or like the girl in the story that I read does that. So the first thing would be to include us in your routines in your classrooms, in your
Mhm.
bedtime books. And then after that, it is essential that children and parents know our history and know the extent to which colonization has attempted to erase us.
Mhm.
Right? I just don't want that to be a starting point, but it is important, and that is your next step.
So
There go ahead.
can I ask a follow-up question? How do you talk to your kids about the history of Palestine?
I talk to my kids right now. I feel like Palestine for children is in stages, right? So because my kids are little, like my biggest is 4 years old, we talk about تطريز, we talk about مقلوبة, we talk about
Yeah.
تيتا how كانت تحط تنجر على راسها. She would put the pot on her head and walk around, look
Hmm.
at pictures. My daughter sings like traditional songs.
Hmm.
I know all the like the old Palestinian nursery rhymes that we do together.
Hmm.
So I'm building that portion of their identity where it is on the map, what it looks like.
Hmm.
We got like oranges the other day, and I was like, you know
Hmm.
what are the yummiest oranges in the world from? They're from Jaffa. Uh,
Hmm. It's very cultural based right now.
Cultural
Yeah,
based.
that's how it is
As
with my
soon,
nephew too.
as soon as she hits like 7,
Yeah, yeah.
and like the political education will be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just think it's hard for them to like fully grasp,
Yeah.
you know.
they're not going to get that at 4 years old, but at four, they can understand culture and experience it and start understanding, oh, I'm Palestinian. Like now my nephew's a little older, he's 5, but like now he knows like, oh, we're Palestinian and like he can identify the map and the flag and like he can tell people like, I'm from Palestine. So it's like those cultural moments that get them excited. Even we took him to Eid prayer and he was like, that was fun. I was like, okay, yes, it was fun.
Yeah.
That's adorable. So I'm also curious to hear from you a little bit about like what is a meaningful way to just like continue for Palestinians, like especially Palestinians living in diaspora. Like for example, like someone like me. I have also never been to Palestine, as I mentioned earlier. Like how would you recommend I were to incorporate Palestine for like children in my life, like my nephew, for example?
This is kind of hard depending on your comfortability with Arabic, but I always start language. So if you speak Arabic, make it a priority to use only Arabic with the people who you know that speak Arabic. That I find super, super important. Even if your Arabic is broken, even if you only know certain words or certain things, the words that you do
Yeah.
know, those are the words you're going to use. So language first and foremost, like I do books. This is my obvious answer. I feel like it's a little too on the nose, but it generally is something that I find super, super important. Like if you look at some psychology research and some of the stuff that's come out, language largely shapes how we think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's even like a reciprocal relationship. So if you do not have the words to articulate certain things, your mind actually cannot think about them. And to give the people in your life access to the ability to talk and think about things in different ways in different languages is really, really powerful, more so than you would initially think. Um, and other than that, I think going back to like the real Orientalism thing, this requires so much work on our part to do the research, to have meaningful conversations, to meaningfully reflect, because it can be so easy to throw on a Philistine sweater, to hang on to certain symbols and not fully understand them and to just like regurgitate the aspects of
Mm-hmm.
that culture that we still have ties to. But at the end of the day, that is still, um, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like watering us down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, and you can't do this with everything, right? We can't wake up
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow and be experts in a culture that we were ripped apart from. But we
Mm-hmm.
can do it with certain things. So you can maybe make it a mission to say, oh, well, I'm going to learn everything I can about this specific dish. So when
Mm-hmm.
I teach my kid to make it, when I make it for dinner, when I talk about it, I can say something that is like really meaningful and really connected
The
about it.
context, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I really loved Lena, your project with was it cochlear? How do you say that the insect that dyes
Oh
the
yeah, cochineal. Yeah.
cochineal? Like that is so incredible because I think about that all the time. Like, how did women in Palestine change the color of the threads before
Mm-hmm.
the British imported DMC and things like that? Um, and another thing too, I would say, is really embracing not knowing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if your kid asks, well, why do we do this? What is, well, I don't know. Maybe we can look it up. Maybe we can ask Teta. Maybe we can ask Teta's friend. And as Arab Americans, I hate the term Arab American. Like, this sucks. Like, I don't want to be an Arab
Mm-hmm.
American. I just want to be an Arab, like low key, you know? You guys know how it is.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
but but it is what we are, right? And I think that like being really authentic to that identity of not knowing everything, to recognize where parts of our culture have mixed with American culture is not wrong.
Yeah. And
Um,
I and I
so
think also it's what you're describing is all of that takes time. And I think
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that we become accustomed to is like instant gratification. And I find like when we always ask a guest, and we'll ask you as well, like the biggest lesson from Tatreez, one of
Mm-hmm.
the biggest things that I've gained from Tatreez is like being able to be okay with something taking time and going through that
Mm-hmm.
journey. And everything you're describing, it's only meaningful. Like when you do your thobe for your daughter, it's meaningful because you spent so much time that you spent so much time
Mm-hmm.
investing in that piece, and she's going to be it's going to be so much more to her because she's going to spend so much time watching you do that. So I think, for our listeners as well, it's okay for it to take time. Like what you're describing, like no, like you said, it's not, you're not going to wake up tomorrow and know it all, but if you put in a little bit of time every single day or every single week, slowly but surely, things will come to be.
yeah, and a note on time. Like I feel that for my mental health, one of the best things that I do that I notice the most improvement is when I'm really intentional with my time. And I know in like the age of social media, we're really accustomed to scrolling or being really passive consumers of our media. And I try my best to be an active consumer of media as I can. And learning all of these things and connecting authentically with our culture requires us to consume long form content, requires us to do reading, and engage with media in a more meaningful way. So choosing to take the time that you have to seek out a piece of knowledge and really interact with it meaningfully is a choice, right? And sometimes it helps to like kind of like take a step back and make that choice intentionally.
Very well said. Very well said. Okay, I would love to ask you, what is next in your Tatreez journey? You're working on your daughter's thobe. You hinted a little bit about what might be coming through on the publishing side of things. Do you have anything else stirring up in your Tatreez journey?
Oh, I I have a dream that I have all of my books in my library and I
Mm-hmm.
have these like Tatri's portraits up and I have like three that I really want to do. I'm working on one that I kind of like I'm asking my mom to finish. I was like, Mom, I'm doing Mariam Stowe. Can you finish this for my library? I didn't do the other half, but it's like الحنون flowers and underneath
Mhm.
it's another one. برتقال يافا and underneath is another one of zaytun and just to have those three stacked on top of each other is like pieces in my home.
Mm.
I met this dentist in Jordan and she invited me to her house and every single thing in her house is covered in tatlis. She did by her hand. And she was like,
Oh,
I don't put anything in my house unless I do it by hand. And I was like, this is low key me in like 60 years. I'm going to be like
I
that.
love it.
That woman who does nothing except sits on tatlis. Uh,
Goals, goals,
yeah.
sis. Before we let you go, we've had such a great time chatting with you, and we could probably chat a lot longer, but being mindful of time. So before we let you go, can you share with us any major life lessons that you have gained from Tatweez?
Um, okay. It's okay to undo work. Undo the work before you finish more of it, and then you wish you undid it when you made the first mistake. And I feel like that is like, like the lost cause fallacy, I think is what it's
Mm-hmm.
called.
Sunk cost fallacy.
Sunk cost fallacy,
Yeah.
and I just like really, really thinking and embracing the idea that there's no such thing as time lost when you are working on your art. Even if I
Yes.
spent 2 weeks doing the Tatreez project and I said, "Ugh, this row is off and it genuinely cannot be fixed, it messes up the whole project. That time is not lost. I spent it practicing, I spent it reflecting. So that's kind of a big lesson that I learned from Tatreez to kind of like have the mindset and the perspective that there's no such thing as wasted time when you're meaningfully connecting with your art and your identity.
Oh, I love that lesson. That is so
Yeah.
beautiful. And a
Very
lesson that
beautifully said.
yeah, that's a good lesson for me. I'm not gonna lie. I love that. I love that. Thank
I
you
mean,
so much,
I
Anna.
do. I was gonna say I do that, but not like in a meaningful way. I do that because I'm crazy. So I like Tala's explanation of it. I was like, yes, beautiful, deep. I'm
Amani
just
is crazy.
neurotic.
Amani is
And on
crazy.
that note, Amani, I can tell that you do that. You know why? When I opened your Tatreez kit and I showed it to my mom, I was like, it was so beautiful and everything was so well thought out. My mom
Thank
was like,
you.
see, Amani, she probably doesn't, if she messes up a stitch, she's not like you. She's not gonna keep going. راح تفكر راح تعيد هاي بنت, she does everything perfect. You can tell. And I was like, you can tell.
Oh my God, I love your mom. Thank you so much. Little compliment. That's so funny.
Amani, she's
Well, we're
telling
gonna
you
have to
that you're
hang out.
crazy. She's telling you that you're crazy.
That's a
That's what she's
compliment for me.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm a Palestinian woman. That's a
She's
compliment. Thank you
saying
so
you can
much.
tell by the beauty of your work that you create that you are a perfectionist. This is 100% compliment.
Tala, don't
Thank
feed her.
you.
Don't feed her too much. She doesn't need it. She doesn't need it.
This was great, Tala. I love this. I can't wait for us to hang, girl. Bring your mom too.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, Tala, thank you so much. Before you look, we let you go, please tell us all the places that people can get in touch. Where can they order your books? Where can they follow your Tatreez journey if you're sharing it somewhere? All of the places.
Yeah, so Good Rain Publishing on Instagram and on TikTok. My personal platforms, I on Instagram, I am Tala dot loves dot books. And then on TikTok, I'm Tala Talks Too Much because I talk too much on there. So feel free to not follow me there if you don't want to hear me ranting all the time. But on Instagram and what's it called? TikTok, Good Rain Publishing. And it is www.goodrainpublishing.com.
Perfect, perfect. Oh, thank you so much, Tyler. This is such a joy.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was great getting Tala finally on the podcast. Her and I are not that far from each other. We have not met yet, but it was great chatting and it got me even more excited for us to connect. So we are going to be connecting soon. And Lena, I think that means you should come out and come hang out with us. Come to
Well,
California.
let's discuss. Let's discuss. I think we can make it happen. I think that'd be really fun, actually. I was thinking about that earlier. I don't know why. Maybe it was because we were interviewing her today, but I was thinking about that. Like maybe I should plan a trip out there. I feel like, Tatreez
Yes.
circles and like just hang out, do the Amani life.
Yes, come to the Manny Live. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But okay, so also I think we mentioned, I forgot it. Now I'm forgetting if we mentioned this before we recorded or while we were recording, but I had actually connected with Tala through TikTok and she was so sweet. She sent me her puzzle, like it was like a 500 piece
Oh,
like
I meant to
Palestine
ask about this
puzzle.
during the podcast. Yeah, we didn't talk about it.
Yes, we
Yeah.
totally okay, yeah, we were talking about it before. That's what it was. And I gave it to my nephew. He lost his absolute mind, made his mom and dad do it with him because obviously I was not going to do a puzzle. But he did the puzzle and then I helped him glue it down. I got to frame it. I filmed it all, so I actually need to do a little like video and post the
Yes.
video to show because it's really really cute and he had so much fun doing it and he did it with his parents. So it was like a family thing. So yeah, I think all the stuff that she has is great. And there was like Tatreez included, like, you see women in thobe, which is really cute. And just I think again, talking back or going back to what we talked about with her on the podcast and how to make Tatreez or I should say make Palestine a part of children's lives at different ages. Like culture is such an easy entry point. And I think that's one of the fun things about the books that she has and the puzzle that she that everyone should look at. It's really cute.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So a shout out to all of you to go check out Good Rain Publishing, get yourself a puzzle or a book or both. Um, and yeah, I'm really excited for what's to come for Tala and Good Rain Publishing. I think there's some
Yes.
exciting things happening, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
definitely. Definitely.
Well, in the meantime, thank you so much again for listening to another episode of Tatreez Talk. We want to hear about your Tatreez journeys. So please, please, please share your stories with us at tatreeztalk@gmail.com, and we might just have you on an upcoming episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite listening platform and be sure to leave a 5-star review. You can follow me at Lina's Thobe, Amani at Minamani, and of course, follow the pod at Tatreez Talk. We will talk to you soon.